is Monday morning and we are off to Jacksonville, Florida to see Dr. Stu McGill. Stu is a professor at Waterloo University in Canada and the world's leading expert on lower back pain. And I actually talked to Stu last year when I hurt my lower back and bought his book, The Back Mechanic, and that was actually very helpful in my recovery last year. But obviously with having some repeated insult to that tissue, and you know, once a lower back injury happens, the likelihood of recurrence is higher. And they say the more painful days you have, the more painful days you will have, and also the more pain-free days you have, the more pain-free days you will have. So I'm trying to stop this cycle. I'm withdrawing from the Arnold because, you know, I feel pain-free now. I've got 6 weeks to train for it if I really wanted to go for it, but for what? Like, it would just be a pure ego thing. It's very difficult for me to have to pull that meet because that was the first meet I pulled out of in 2016 when I hurt my lower back, or sorry, when I hurt my hip. And you know, it kind of feels like, you know, my own body betraying me a little bit, and it's really frustrating. But the positive side is that Stu was a very nice guy when I spoke to him last year, and on Instagram I think Brian Carroll actually reached out to me, and Brian works with Stu. Brian was I think the first powerlifter, or one of the first powerlifters under 300 pounds to squat over 1,000 pounds, and I think he holds the record for squatting over 1,000 pounds more times in competition than anybody else in lifting equipment. And Brian worked with Stu on his rehab, and Brian's injury was far worse than mine. I have a herniated disc and a bulging disc in my lower back. Fortunately, I only really get the disc bulge symptoms. I don't really get the disc herniation symptoms, which is like numbness or tingling down one leg. I don't really get that. Actually, I don't get that at all. But I get the localized disc bulge pain, which when it is flared up, whew, man, it is completely and utterly incapacitating. Like I can't even get up I can't even get myself to the bathroom. So fortunately I'm out of that kind of pain. I haven't had that for well over a month. But Brian had a split sacrum, I believe. So his sacrum was actually broken. He had a crushed disc where there was like a complete loss of disc height, I believe was the injury, and then a herniated disc. So he was in real bad shape. And Stu, he had been to multiple treatments. He was considering surgery. The surgeons told him that, you know, no matter what, he'd have to stop lifting. And, you know, he went to Stu and, you know, said, you know, basically told him, like in no uncertain terms, that my goal is to get back and break records again one day. And Stu basically said, let's get you pain-free and then see where we can go from there. I'm mostly in the pain-free part, so I feel like I'm kind of ahead already on that. But I want to get back to competing again. I want to get back to being a beast like I used to be. You know, it's hard to compete at a certain level and then step back from that. That's really difficult. And to feel like your body's betraying you, and to watch people you used to compete against and win against doing extraordinarily well, like thinking, you know, that could have been me. That's a really hard thing to stomach for somebody who's really competitive. But you know, I can't change anything that happened in the past. All I can do is focus on what I can do now that I'm in this situation. And you know, I think that Stu is my best bet for getting back to being able to compete at a high level and try to stay as injury free as possible. I think even if you do all the right things, you know, there's still an opportunity there's a chance for injury, you know, but injury is not always a bad thing. You know, you can take it and you can turn it into a positive. In fact, that's their new book, Stu and Brian. It's called The Gift of Injury. And, you know, I heard a quote from Tony Robbins one time: the worst thing in your life can become the best thing in your life if you decide to use it. So I've always been somebody who I'm not just going to sit around and feel sorry for myself. I'm going to fucking get after it. So we're going to get after it. We're going to do everything we can. And for me, the hard part isn't the training. I can train like crazy. The hard part is doing the rehab consistently and doing the prehab exercises and those sorts of things. So, like, getting myself dedicated and committed to, even when I feel good, this is what I do. I get up, I do my rehab exercises, I do my stay in the left lane. I do my walking for rehab. That's part of the rehab, is walking. I do all these things. So it's easy to start getting away from that when we get busy, and especially me for dealing with a lot of the business stress that I'm going through right now. It's easy to get away from that kind of stuff when you get really busy, but it just has to be like anything you're committed to, just like working out. You have to make it a priority. So anyway, hopefully we're gonna meet for Stu today, and I'm really excited about this. This is somebody I have a great deal of respect for, not only for what he helped me with last time, but also as an academic. So I'm really looking forward to not only hearing more about how I can be more injury free, but also just learning about the research he's done. So this should be a fun trip, and I'm really looking forward to it. Don't see an address for that one. What is this? Right here. Oh, my back isn't too angry after 3 hours in that car, so that's good. Now, Stu says whenever he meets somebody in person, he already starts assessing them within the first 5 seconds that he meets them. So we'll see if he notices anything about me.
What's up?
Hey, Brian. Nice to meet you.
Brian, good to meet you, man.
Good to meet you too.
Yeah, come on in. How you feeling, man? Did I mess you up at all?
No, I was just commenting. My back isn't even really that angry. I've been pretty much pain-free for the most part for a few weeks now.
Yeah.
And it's only when I get like stress triggers it for me.
Right.
So like my 300 kilo squat at the Arnold, I already aggravated. So this was the first time I aggravated that disc bulge. That was the first time it happened. It was a week out, and I was able to get well enough. Reading your book really kind of like took me back to that. I don't think I was quite as extreme as you in terms of like getting so many cortisone shots and whatnot. So I was able to compete at the Arnold, a 300 kilo squat, which that's a long story, but I ended up tying the world record there, which really pissed me off. That was an attempt selection mishap. Like I should have squatted, like I was on pace to squat like 677, 683, something like that. Like my numbers looked really, I hit 600 for 5, you know, like I was doing really well. But the 600, I think because of the bulge and protecting that, when I came up a little bit wonky, or no, I already have a little bit of bar dip. I think I have uneven shoulders.
Yeah, I think pretty much all of us. It's like, obviously with your background in bodybuilding, even some argue the greatest physique ever, Ronnie Coleman, depending on if you want to call the era of 2001, 2003, when he was like really, before his waist started blowing up. But if you look at him, bicep to bicep, pec to pec,
everything's asymmetrical.
Right.
Everything. So I'm the same way.
Yeah, so you got to think of that from a powerlifting standpoint too. When you're dialing in ultimate performance, there's going to be some asymmetry. There's going to be some shifting here and there. The problem is when it becomes like very, very obvious when there's shifting.
Yeah.
The problem is if it's an issue, yes, sometimes you need to address it, because the research has shown that asymmetrical hips will lead to more back injury with the shearing.
Yeah.
But at the same time, if you start trying to undo what God has done with your build, your history, you might end up unleashing a bunch of issues. Well, you try to overcorrect. Layne,
nice to meet you, sir.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah.
You're weighing in at
207.
light heavy, eh?
Mm-hmm.
Tell me your story.
In 2015, preparing for the Arnold then. So I was about a week out, and I had my last heavy session before the meet, and I was going to do squat, bench press, and deadlift. 9 RP or 90% of what I would usually do, and then some singles after that, and those felt like they went pretty well. And then went to bench press, and I could feel on bench press that my back was getting pretty tight, tighter than usual. But I kind of just thought, well, I've had a hard training session, it'll get better. And then I foolishly went to deadlift. I remember I had to pull 610 pounds for 3 sets of 4. And I felt very tight, but the weight was moving fine, and I seemed to be staying in okay position. And finished that session, went home, put some ice on it, and woke up the next day and couldn't hardly move. See, so that was on a Friday. The meet was the following Friday. I just kind of got to Wednesday, and I said, all right, I'm gonna see if I can go in and just hit some light weights, like a 80%.
You're a warrior.
I was able to do a single with 600 on squat, and it felt okay. Went to the meet, did a 300 kilo squat there, did a 694 pound pull, ended up winning that meet, and I actually believe that is where I herniated a disc, a different one, a little bit higher up, and it'll be on the MRI, but I got a little bit more lopsided in that squat than I would usually do. So what we've discussed and what I was told from MRI, I think what has been the problem child, as it were, has been the disc bulge at L4, L5. The disc herniation seemed to bother me for about, I'm just guessing based on where they said it was on the MRI, which disc it was. That seemed to bother me on and off for about 6 months, and then it never really bothered me again. And I don't get radiating pain or anything to that degree.
Do you still pull for reps?
So what I've done now is typically when I deadlift, I'll set the bar down. If I'm going to pull multiple reps, I'll set the bar down, let it settle, then re-grip, take another rep.
Thank you.
I'm kind of, yeah.
Thank you.
That was something from Matt Gary. He said,
yeah.
Just from a powerlifting perspective too, he said it's the only lift that's concentric only, and if you're pulling for reps, you're getting that that Golgi apparatus, that kind of that reflex, that stretch reflex. And so just from a powerlifting perspective, if you're going to do something specific for what you do in a meet, he's like, you should probably set it down and look at, instead of 5 reps, look at it as a group of 5 singles.
Thank you.
So,
that's great.
And the problem too is when you have a set of 5, you can't give 100% effort to each rep when you're banging them out like that. Yeah. So you might be locked in 100% for the first one. The second one might, who knows, you might be good. You might be the first 3 at 100% focus. The next one might go down to 90, 80, 85 sometimes. And then who knows where you're at on the 5th rep. Yeah. It's just hard to tell. And it depends on how fatigued you are, how rested you are. There's a lot of variables there.
Tell me your past attempts at getting better and why or why not they were successful.
Well, originally I didn't really do much with it, just rested, and it got better. And then fast forward last year in October or September, I had a lot of life stress going on, and re-injured it again, but this time way worse. The only way I could feel comfortable was laying on my side on the ground, and it would take me from there about a minute to get to standing. That's when I bought the back mechanic, started doing the big 3, and that really made a difference.
I'm watching all of this actually. I was watching you down there and walking up the stairs.
I know, I read back mechanic, I'm like, I know he's watching me right now.
The exam started actually when I came through. Day to day now, are some days better than others?
Yeah, most days are pain free now.
Oh, fabulous.
So, I'm already kind of, I feel like I did well to get ahead of the curve on that.
Yeah. Great.
I did get that cortisone injection in my spine, but that was more so because I was so inflamed at that point, I couldn't even work.
And when was that?
That would have been early December.
Oh, 8 weeks ago.
Yes.
Oh, wow. Wow, that gives me a different thought in my head. Have you ever moved, doing a fairly menial task, flushing the toilet or something like that, when you get caught, it takes your breath away? That kind of, is that familiar to you?
Not really. Not really.
Okay, so is it a dull ache that's just there on a bad day and then it goes, or
the best way I can describe it is it.
How would you describe when you felt when you reached for your kid out of the crib?
Okay, so when it goes, just I felt something give way. That's what it felt like.
If you were tying your shoe, you've never felt this.
No, only after it's triggered. Only after I've done it under heavy load. And even with my kids, it was after I'd done it under heavy load.
Gotcha.
That made it worse, I think. You know.
Okay.
Problem is, the radiologist not seeing me, they didn't know what to look for when they're interpreting what they saw. They missed every single fracture that I had going on. They one of the first things that Stu saw. Stu saw the fracture. He goes, "You see that?" I'm like, "It looks like I have a fracture in my sacrum."
You asked me, "See anything weird here?"
I said you split your sacrum.
Not once was it listed with the orthopedic surgeon, the radiologist, or the neurosurgeon. They were looking only at my disc. Could they help me or not? Could they do surgery? That was it.
It's beautiful. Love feeling the back like that. Feels fabulous. Yeah, well, that's beautiful. What I'm feeling for is a little kink in the curve of your spine. It's called an antalgia. You don't have one because they steal load-bearing ability. Now, is it central and radiates, or just show me with your hands?
It would be right here,
Yeah.
at probably a fist size,
Yeah.
and it would be just that area.
Yeah, well, it's centroided right on. There's a very slight antalgia, but it's you've done a great job with that. And you've had no other major surgeries or implants or anything like that.
I tore my pec in 2008. That was the only surgery I've ever had, and other than that, pretty healthy.
Yeah, and was it a torn muscle or was it avulsed from the bone?
So it actually tore at the muscle tendinous junction, full tear.
Yeah.
Actually more on the muscle side. Fortunately, I had one good doctor, very good orthopedic surgeon, and now I have no symptoms. You can't even hardly tell it was ever torn.
Yeah, great. And so they sewed the muscle basically.
Yeah, they basically put a graft over it, and in his words,
that's kind of the nicest to have actually.
Yeah, and he in his words, shoelaces and bubble gum, and put it back together. Yeah.
Nice and tall. Pull up on the chair and relax. Any change in symptoms?
No.
None. Now slouch all the way down, and I'm just going to shape your head to there, and you're feeling that uncomfortableness.
Yeah.
It's there. Now, on top of that, I'm going to pull on the nerve roots. Does that change any perception down your low back? Better or worse?
Not really any difference.
Okay, keep this shape like that. I'm just going to move your neck. Has that changed anything down your back?
Not really.
Okay, and that just draw up out of that position? And did that take the stress off the discomfort level?
Yes.
Okay, now be very chest proud. Bring it right up. No difference, better or worse?
No real difference.
And nothing down your back in the familiar region, and nothing down your back.
No.
That's really good news. Okay, so there's the discomfort. I'm going to take you in first. We'll drift the nerves back, and now all the way down, and now to neutral. Did you perceive anything in your low back that time? And nothing in your back down in that series?
Not really.
Okay, do a soccer kick for me. And do it with the other leg. Good. Now, we repeat.
That last one.
I got you, didn't I?
Just a little bit right here.
Good, you got nerve drag, son. I got it. Now, what I did was I pulled your spinal cord up by shaping your head down. The first time when I put it back, the nerve dragged and you got a little tickle. The second time, I've already pulled your nerve root up off what we'll see as a diabetic disc bulge. Yeah. That's why I got you to pull your nerve root through from underneath the other way. Yeah. So the next time we did it, we got it again.
And my guess, if I was like real flared up, that would really hurt.
It would, but right now, every time you move in a certain direction, the first time the nerve drags. The second cycle, you're fine. Nothing there. Do it again. It's the midnight movement, son. That's it.
Now I just say that. Now I can.
That's the gig. We've got it.
I can feel during a hyperextension. I can feel.
Okay, so when you go into extension, not there, but when you come back into extension, is there a pinch point right at the very end there?
I wouldn't call it a pinch. Just a little. It's like right. It's on the right side actually.
Okay.
Just a little
Fabulous. I'm assuming the position there and surrender to the table. Just let all. There we go. Could you go mid shin so you take all the weight? You have to surrender. You're jacked up here. Come on, let it down, man. Breathe. Relax. Breathe it into the table. Breathe in. Now surrender. Let it go. Okay. Is that sore?
Not really.
Good. Fabulous. Compared to that as baseline, tell me if we hit something that's a bit more. Surrender your head. Come on. Push your eyebrow 1 pound. That's it. Beautiful. Good man. So, here's the calibration. Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, L5. Anything there?
No.
Fabulous. L4?
Just a touch.
That's all I need. You don't. You're fighting me. Come on. Breathe it out. L3. Anything there?
Calibrate me again. Sorry.
No. Let me carry on. Anything there?
No.
Okay, and anything there?
No.
Okay, here we go again. I'm going to come back. There's a calibration.
Yep.
No real pain.
No.
Slight discomfort on that one.
Yep.
Okay, squeeze your glutes and hold the table. Squeeze the bench. Now, let his legs go. Is that less pain?
Is that the one that was painful before?
Yes, sir.
That's a little less pain.
That's what you're supposed to say.